Hello and welcome to Paleo Greenbird. I'm Greenbird, and today's video is going to be another percussion video, flint knapping. We're going to be reducing this piece of beautiful Flintridge right here. It's really windy today, so I may just not do a lot of talking and put some music behind this, or maybe I'll do a voiceover. I don't know, I haven't decided. But in the meantime, let's get going. So as you can see, this piece is already kind of flat-ish. So I'm going to take off some of these weak edges with some real aggressive grinding. Flintridge is not, in my opinion, a particularly really easy, user-friendly stone, especially for a beginner. But once you get the hang of it, it's not bad. Just got to hit it a little bit harder. So as I'm grinding, I'm making my platforms. And I'm looking for platforms with ridges. See a good one right there. It's kind of a low platform, kind of flat, but it does follow a nice ridge in an area that I need to take off that cortex anyway. See some other ones. This is really beautiful stone. It's not cheap, so I want to take my time with it. I'm going to use copper boppers for this one, and I'm going to use my lighter ones. I have some heavier ones, but I'm going to start with, I think this is a 3/4 inch bopper. I might move up to a 1 inch. In fact, I think I am. I'm just going to start with a 1 inch. This might even be a 1 1/4. Get it aggressively. And look at that. See that? Beautiful flake came off. Absolute gorgeous flake. So again, that's the platform that I hit. Let's see if I can... No, I'm sorry. That's the platform that I hit right there. And out of that, this flake came off. Nice smooth flake too. I hit it a little bit hard. I'm going to save this flake because other than the number 4 on the side of it, this is a good flake for an arrowhead. So that's not going to make it to my junk pile. So we made a little bit of progress. You can see I have kind of an edge that's sticking out there. It's going to need to come off anyway, so I think I'm just going to kind of tap it off. Trim it. Not too much, just enough to get it off there and still, see how I still left myself some platforms. So, what am I going to do now? Looking for the next one. Always looking for the next platform. I did get a little bit of a step right here, but I'm not really too worried about that, because I've got, the rock is still so thick right now, I can take that out. But I have a thick spot over here and down this ridge. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a little platform right here and pop that off. Let's just take a quick look and make sure that's what we want to do. Yeah, I think I'm going to smack this a little bit more, see what I see for platforms. Not 100% happy with that decision. So I'm going to get off anything that I think is loose. And a platform usually presents itself. And I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to take this flat edge here, where there's some cortex. I'm going to try and drive the flake right down and thin that out a little bit. I might get a step here because it is a pretty aggressive plan. But I've got this bigger bopper, so let's hope for the best. And there's already some like ripply step activity, so we'll see what happens here. Alright, I got a decent flake. That's the flake that came off. Oh boy, that's a nice point too. That's a little bird point. Now I've got this ridge right here I need to worry about. That I should probably focus on that as soon as I can. See how the rest of the stone is starting to thin down, but there's that thick ridge right there. I'm going to build myself a platform right here. So if I want a platform on this side, how you do that, if I want a platform to drive this flake off, what I need to do is if I'm going to take a piece off, I need to flip it over. Because when I take that piece off, that's going to give me that angle. That's going to create my platform for the other side. Okay, so that's pretty important. So even though I want to drive this flake off, instead of hitting in this direction, I'm going to make a platform. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to make myself a little platform. I'll show you what it looks like. Actually, double up here. There we go. Not quite happy with that platform though, so I'm going to still fix it. That's a little better. Just barely. So, I want to drive this flake off here. Now look, now my platform's in the right spot. Drive that flake down. So, whatever side you want to flake, or you want to make a platform for, flip it over, do it on the other side. That's how you're going to make your platforms. A lot of you probably already know that, but just in case there's some beginners watching, I'm going to still stick with my medium-sized bopper here because this is kind of tough material to work. Alright, didn't really get that ridge. I got some of it, but not all of it. Not enough of it. Sorry about the wind, guys. If you're hearing it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to do myself a favor. I want to take this ridge off, but look, I still have some fat spots over here. And I have that edge. I'm going to try and reduce it this way a little bit more. It has a lowered spot, so I don't need to go too deep. I just need to make these flakes travel across and kind of feather in. So I don't need to hit it hard. I should be able to do that pretty easily without a lot of force. In fact, I'm going to bill it down. This is my 3/4 inch. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. This is my 1 inch. This is my 1 3/4, or 1 1/4. Right? Yeah, 1 inch and 1 1/4. I can never remember what size my billets are. Alright, so where was I going to take that platform? What was I gonna do? Oh, right there. Okay. Let's grind it again. Alright. Got some nice birdie points out of that too. But see how it took off all that? Evened it up. It's bringing that center line down into shape. I've got a thick spot forming up here in the tip though, so I'm going to have to address that. But before I do, I'm going to take that last flake here on the bottom. And that might even clean up that hinge. Nope, no. But that's okay, I've got time. So, even though the rock is big, I'm still thinking about shape. A little bit. I'm not focusing on it, but I don't want to let it get away from me either. Alright, so I've got that big ridge right here. I did make myself a nice platform right there that could take that ridge out. Or at least a lot of it. It's not really following the entire ridge, but a good portion of it. So I'm going to stay with my small billet since I'm not looking to travel that far. Alright. Got most of it, not all of it, but you see, I cleared out that spot, and now the platform that I have left does follow that ridge. The platform is right there. The ridge goes in that direction. So now I need to decide if I want to stick with my smaller billet or if I want to go back up to my larger billet. I think yeah, I think I'm gonna bill it up, just to be safe. I'm gonna try and give it as much support as I can without death gripping it or pushing it against my leg too hard. That didn't work at all. I probably should have stayed with that smaller billet just because I have better aim with it and you can hit smaller platforms, but that's alright. It is what it is. So now I'm just going to go around this thing. I'm going to look for platforms that I can take. I'm not going to discuss every single one of them, but looking for those low points to take. This end is starting to smooth out, but I do have a rough edge over here, so I need to be aware of that. I'm going to probably zigzag this a little bit. I have to break it in the process. Doesn't come off in 3 strikes, something's not right. Go. Alright. It's a little aggressive, but we are zigzagging this, so we're getting to where we need to be. Every time I zigzag, it's giving me a new platform, usually right in the front, but in this case I'm going to have to skip back to this other one, because that was such a deep flake. Nope. Okay, so that was a deep flake there, and a deep flake there, so now I can come back to that middle point. Point right there. So this video is probably not going to be any amazing revelation. If you're a new napper, you might find it useful. Alright, so we got something bifacing here. It's a little ugly, but we're getting there. Now when I'm doing this, alright, when I'm hitting, I'm making sure that I have contact with the tip of this and the back at all times, whenever I'm striking, because if not, you run the risk of end shock, snapping the whole thing in half, which is never good, especially when you're working such a beautiful stone like this. This is one of those stones you save every single flake and you make a bird point out of it. It's Ohio Flintridge. See how I got the back of my hand, the tip of my finger. Always making contact with it. If don't, you will suffer for it. A little bit aggressive, but you've got to do something about that base. Alright, so we're starting to flatten this out though. It's looking good. It's going to address the base now. Because it's all about the base, right? This is a risky time because if you're not supporting it right, you can break it here too. I think what I'm going to do is go back to, well, yeah, I've got some thick spots on the tip. I think before I address the base, I'm going to work on the tip a little bit. Because I don't want the, when you're working the base down, sometimes you can get the middle down too thick too, or too thin rather. And then if you have a thin middle, a thick base, and a thick tip, it's going to crack every time. Snap on you. And here comes that wind again. There we go. That was a nice thinning flake. Boy, this stuff is working really well for me today. Another nice one. Excellent. I'm going to flip over to the other side just to maintain symmetry, and because I need to make myself a platform. I've got a thick spot here, but if I drive a flake, and I have sort of a thick spot here, if I drive a flake off on this side, maybe it'll leave me with a platform to take another one on the other side. Let's just hope. And I'm kind of using my finger now more than the pad, even though it's still a little bit thick for that, but it's working well for me, so I'm going to keep doing it. Just remember, you don't want to push your finger too tight, or you'll stall your flakes. They won't drive. So I took some good flakes, but I didn't leave myself a platform, so. Alright, now let's look at the shape. So I really need to lower this edge so I can, I've got that hump in the middle. The only way I'm going to get rid of that is if I lower this edge so I have a platform coming this way. So I need to take this edge here, drop it down. And I'm going to lose some width on that for sure. It's just what happens when you do that. But I need to get a point out of this. I'd rather have a small point that's really good than something large that doesn't do me any good at all. Okay, so that worked really good. I actually left myself with a few platforms to drive here. I did not lose very much width. So you can see these are the platforms that I created. This is the thick spot that I need to take off. I can never see anything in the camera, but I have found that the camera always tends to impress me afterwards. I see when I'm reviewing when I'm editing the videos, I see that the camera picks up a lot more than what I thought it did. So let's start with that thick spot. Stab myself. I'm actually going to go on the pad for this one. I'm going to support the tip and the back. Yep, got myself a thinning flake. Got a little bit of junk right there, but that's okay because I'm going to come back and strike it again, so who cares? In fact, I'm going to do it right now. Alright, tip is still a little bit thick, so let's start working on that tip a little bit. Both sides of it. Wherever I see the platforms, Then we'll come back and work on that base. Cut myself on that one good. Yep, got a bleeder on that time. That one actually hurt. Usually it doesn't hurt. But that time it did. Oh yeah, that's a deep one. That's why, boys and girls, you always have Band-Aids. Doesn't look like much, but trust me, that's deep. That is why you always have Band-Aids in your kit. If you're smarter than me, you'll wear a glove. Yeah, that one's going to take a little while to heal. I don't get cut often. But I think when I do, I make up for it. But what are you going to do? That's part of flint knapping. You're going to get cut. If you don't want to get cut, try knitting. But I am going to try not to do that again. And I do have a cut-proof glove, but I just feel like when I use it, I can't feel anything. I can't tell what I'm doing. I have been using it a little bit when I do indirect percussion, because I'm just learning indirect percussion. I'm not good at it at all. Well, I shouldn't say at all, but I'm not great at it. Yeah, that was weird. That one actually hurt. It usually doesn't hurt when I get cut. Usually I don't notice it until I'm bleeding, but that one actually hurt. Maybe it's a reminder that I should keep it on the leather pad until I get a little bit thinner before I start working off the hand. Because this is Flintridge. Even though it's tougher to work, it's just as sharp. And I gotta close my door here. It's just as sharp, and it's a lot harder than obsidian is. So I mean, it can cut you a lot deeper, just because it's got the you know, it doesn't break off. But obsidian is still sharper. It's the sharpest. Sharpest of the sharpest. I'll have to go inside. I'll clean that up later. I should probably clean it up a little bit because that's pretty deep. That's the thing about flint knapping. You don't get cut a lot, but when you do, it's usually you know, it cuts in there deep. So let's see where we're at here. But again, this is not the first time I've been cut. It won't be the last time. When I first started, I had cuts so bad in all my fingers, my whole hand. Because I started working obsidian, everyone told me that was the easiest stone to start with. I don't necessarily agree with that. Man, my fingers were so cut up. In my opinion, the best beginner material is going to be probably either dacite or novaculite or Georgetown. Those are the best things to start on. Keokuk's not bad, but it's kind of chalky. At least the stuff I had was. I haven't bought it since. Looks pretty though. Let's see. I'm not having as good as results as I was working off my hand. Alright, so I'm trying to keep an eye on the shape of this. This side's a little bit bigger, so unless I'm going to make a knife blade out of this, which I guess I could. No, I want to get a point out of it. So if I'm going to lose any type of width, I want it to be on this end. So it kind of starts to shape itself back up. And there are plenty of thick platforms here where I can do that. I do need to address this base. At some point, if I can't get it off at the base, I'm going to have to zigzag it, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm going to zigzag it. The problem with zigzagging is you get the main part of it off, but you still need to address the thickness. You're just getting rid of that flat edge. Usually. Sometimes you can... Ooh, here we go. Here's an opportunity. So here, as I'm zigzagging, there's a low spot right here, which also follows the ridge on a thick spot. So instead of continuing to zigzag that, I'm actually going to just take this as a platform, drive it up. Not too much. I'm not trying to flute it. Just trying to get rid of that thick spot. Although this is good practice for fluting. And I'm going to put this on my leg pad, I think. There we go. Always want to make sure you got really good support or you'll break it. If you're hitting on the base like that, if you're not supporting the tip and the back and everything and the side as much as you can, you'll snap it every time. So I took off a good thick part there, but also left me with another platform to get rid of some of this other thick stuff. So I'm going to try that. Ooh, really tough here because I want to support the tip. Don't have a whole lot of control to support the rest of the point because I want to drive it off on the side there, so I hope I don't break this. I probably should nap this off the hand, and that's what I'm going to do. You take a chance on getting cut, but you have much better support. I'm already bleeding, so who cares, right? Alright. So we're starting to get there. Now I'm just taking really small flakes. Just shaping in real basic thinning shapes. I'm not trying to take flakes that are going to run across too far. Just trying to get everything to look the same. Flipping it over when I can. This one's going to have to go on the pad because I need to make a platform there. Alright, so there are two platforms, one right here to drive this flake off, another one on the other side right here to drive that flake off. We're starting to thin out. We're almost to our preform stage. I mean, we're definitely nice and bifaced. But let's get this as close as we can, so when we come back and finish it, it makes our life a lot easier. Alright, I'm going to go off the finger again. And I'm going to grind that a little bit more. Alright, here we go. Just light support underneath, tip, base, and tip, and then light underneath. Nope. Missed a couple times, but that's okay. I'd rather miss than break it. Now I'm looking at my center line. I want to keep my center line good. Shaping at the same time. So I'm shaping and looking at my center line. This side looks decent. I mean, it's zigzaggy, but I can fix that. This side's got a dip. Okay, right there's a dip, so I need to bring that up, or I need to bring these other ones down. I need to make that decision. I think in this particular situation, because there's a little bit of thickness on either side, instead of bringing this edge up, I'm going to bring these two edges down. So if I want to bring them down, I can't hit them this way. I got to flip it upside down. So if you want to bring an edge down, flip it upside down and then hit the edges. That's how that's the mindset you want to have. Whichever way you want to bring the center line, you need to hit it the opposite direction. So if I want to bring these two center lines down, instead of hitting it down, I have to flip it upside down. So when I'm hitting it down, it's actually hitting it up from the side that I was looking at prior. Again, look how I have my support. The tip is supported, the base is supported. It is windy today. Very windy. So I hope this video is helpful. And I hope that I actually get to, publish this as it is with the sound. If it's too bad when I'm editing it, if I can't hear myself, if it's too windy, because I know it's really windy, I'll probably just put some music behind this and maybe some subtitles or maybe a voiceover or something like that. Alright, so now we're bifaced pretty good. I still have that thickness on the base side of it. So I'm going to try and I see a platform, a natural platform right here. Try and drive a flake. We'll also correct my center line a little bit. As long as I don't break it. And I don't need to drive this flake too far either. I just need to drive it maybe like, I don't know, I need a flake that's about an inch or a half inch, 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, a little shorter than what I wanted, but not bad. Also keeping an eye on where I need my center line. Doesn't do any good to take a flake off, it ruins your center line. Oh, look at that. That was excellent. That was sweet. Now I'm going to go back to the tip a little bit. The tip's a little thick. See, this is what we're left with. The base is not bad, still has some junk there to take off. Got a good center line, but as you can see, that tip is still a little thick. So now I'm going to move back up to the tip. Sometimes you have to go back and forth because you don't want it to get one side too thin compared to the other side, or you get that pesky end shot. So now I'm definitely napping off the finger at this point. Taking the time to grind. It's tempting to just keep going, but you get better results if you grind. See a platform on the other side, so I'm going to take that. Look at that, nice flake. Right there. Hit that, boom. I mean, this is really pretty thin for still doing percussion, but I think that my personal opinion, as far as what I've experienced in my skill set, is that it's best to go as far as you can with percussion. because sometimes with pressure, it's hard to get those flakes to travel all the way across for me, anyway. So I'm learning for me that pressure is really just sort of the final step. Or if I need to make myself a platform, there we go. Or if I need to, I don't know, change the shape or something like that. So we're really close to being done with this. A little bit of a turtle tip. Figure out how to fix that. Well, I know how to fix it, but you fix it by dropping that edge. So a little bit of a turtle on the tip, so I need to drop the edge down so that it gives me a platform to drive a flake across. I'm trying to find something opportunistic that I can use instead of doing that, so I don't lose. Sometimes when that happens, I actually, instead of trying to reduce width, I'll work from the tip. Even if I have to snap, you know, a couple centimeters of this tip off. Am I still on the camera? Yeah. Even if I have to snap a couple of centimeters of this tip off, I'll still end up with a better point. Yeah, I don't think I'm really in frame very well, am I? Sorry about that. Hopefully this video wasn't a wash. That's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to nibble that tip off a little bit. Okay? Because I can still get a good point out of this. Instead of messing with it, making it super narrow, I'm just going to pop that tip off a little bit. You can see I left myself a Bob Ross tip. You know, when you're watching Bob Ross and you're always like, oh, you just ruined your painting and then he makes it better? That's what's happening here. Instead of reducing all this mass and just making it into a tiny little bird point, I nibbled the tip off there, gave myself a nice platform to take off this thick side right here, right in the middle. It might affect my flake pattern a little, it might not, we'll see. Doesn't need to go far, maybe an inch. Other than that, there we go. All right, that works. Maybe I'll take a couple more, just to be sure. So let's reshape this before we stop. So because I rounded it out a little bit, it's not as pointy. I'm just going to try and make sure that before we finish this, I get it back to a pointy shape. I'm just looking for natural platforms that will allow me to take some flakes. That's kind of what that does. When you nibble it from the tip like that, it just sort of resets it. You get new opportunities. Cut myself again. Cut myself a lot today. But this stone is so pretty, it's worth it. I don't care. Oh, it just got dark all of a sudden. Alright, so we're almost pretty much pointy again. Wow. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it just got real dark. Awesome, alright. Happy with that. Now I'm going back to the base. Still never finished the base. Try and zigzag this. Oh, and in the process, just like last time, found myself a nice little platform right here that I can take. Take off some width, or I mean, some thickness right there. It's not quite as good as the last one, but it's good enough, and it will take off some of that cortex that we're trying to get rid of anyway. So good support. Don't want to screw it up now. Now I'm just zigzagging a little bit. And where I find a place I can zigzag, I will. If not, if I find a place where there's a platform that I can use, I'll capitalize on that. Like right here. This tip where the ear is, there's a platform. I just need to drive it enough to even it out. I don't need a big giant flake, but I'm still going to support it on the ear, on the tip, on the base, it's just as much as I can. Anywhere I can support it, I will. Okay. I'm going to have to take this one off the filter. There we go. And then when you get done with that zigzag, you'll find all kinds of platforms that you can take to clean it up with. That's just a byproduct of the zigzag. That's the great thing about it. Alright, so I really want to be cognizant of my center lines. They're a little iffy. Try and bring it in a little bit to sharpen that tip. You've got to do it on both sides though. Just looking for those spots that you can take to bring that center line in a little, well, not center line, but the you know, the width in a little bit. Any spot that looks like it wants to be a platform. It's probably a boring part of the video, but it's important. Alright, I can see myself already starting to get bigger on this side, so that's the side I'm going to go to. Just
Start bringing in. I'm not going to start at the tip, because otherwise I'll just perpetuate the same angular issue. And start kind of in the middle. And then as I see the tip needs to be adjusted after that, I'll move to the tip. Just gonna get to those edges. I don't want to cause any steps though. You know, so when you're taking with the Flintridge, it's pretty tough. You can get away with kind of chipping off the edges there without getting steps, but a lot of stones are not as forgiving, and you might get into trouble when you're doing that. Ooh, there we go. That was a good flake. So, I think, we can go a lot further with this, but the intention of today's video was to make a preform, finish up another time. You can make these as beautiful or as rough as you want, just depends on how much work you want to do the next time around. I'd like to get the tip on this a little bit thinner. But I don't have to do that now. I can do that later. In fact, I'm starting to get a little bit of hinging, or steps rather, in that part right there, where I'm trying to thin that down. And I don't want to get to the point where I have to take that tip off again. So I think I'm going to leave it for now. I'll come back to it another day. When I have a fresh perspective. There we go. I kind of took a chance there, but it paid off. I wish I would have shown you. I just undercut a bunch of steps. I just can't stop, can I? I keep saying, we're about done, we're about done. And then what happens is I grind it and I hit it again. We're about done for real. Oh, that was a good fight. Alright, I'm going to stop. Force myself to stop. Part of me wants to finish it, but I know this has been a long video, and I'm just trying to make some preforms right now. I haven't been able to do a lot of percussion, and I love percussion. It's probably my favorite part of flint knapping. And I'll probably finish this up with percussion, but anyway, this is what we're left with, guys. A nice, relatively thin preform. This is a preform. It'll be thinner by the time it's finished. It's a decent size. About palm sized, I'd say. So it'll end up being a little bit more narrow, and it'll be either a spear point or an arrow point. I'll do a video when I finish it, but like I said, I'm just doing some preforms. So I hope that some of the stuff that we talked about in this video helps anybody who might be new to knapping. If you have any questions, or if this was useful, or if it was not useful, and you'd like to see other stuff, let me know. Until next time, I hope you're having a fantastic day. This is Paleo Greenbird, and I am signing out.